with overtraining, we see a lack of nutrients, a lack of supplementation, and then, of course, a lack of results. It's pretty clear. It just doesn't work.
And a full year, and that lets you save. Who cares?
Welcome to a brand new edition of Ageless Energy, where we talk about how to burn fat, increase energy, and balance hormones for women over 40. Over the past 20 years as a performance coach, I've worked with hundreds of women that have the exact same struggles you do. I hope to shine some light with this podcast on what can be the most challenging time of your life and let you know there is hope to find success with your health and what you're looking for. Please share and enjoy. Welcome to another Ageless Energy Show. Today we're talking about benefits of low impact strength training for sustainable fat loss. So this is an important topic because I see it so often. Gosh, from where I'm sitting at, it's mind boggling to think that women still exercise 100% cardio, B, strength train like men, or maybe not men in particular, but bodybuilders. Let's say that. So today we're going to dive in and we got a jam-packed show for you. I'm going to talk about low impact strength training can actually build lean muscle, which you need at 40 plus because women are losing muscle mass at a rapid rate. So if you're not supplementing, if you're not doing proper resistance training, there's no way to counteract that. So that's a big problem. Why I put here why this method is gentler on your joints. Arthritis is a big thing, especially as you age, and we got to protect our joints instead of damage our joints. How you can burn fat at rest. So as we put our body in a fat burning stage, you can actually increase your metabolism and burn body fat while resting. So you're not doing hours of cardio, and cardio, like only burning body fat while you're doing cardio is like, okay. If this is the first time you're hearing this, my apologies. I don't mean to like sound condescending, but it's just frustrating to be in this industry so long and see the same thing over and over again. It's been like years and years. And I'm like, why are people still doing the same thing? And then let's go over the last one is the secret to training smarter, not harder. How you can actually do less and get more results. That's going to be a good one. So if you have comments, drop them below. I'm going to pull you guys up here. If you're not sure who I am, my name is Drew Tadia, founder and CEO of True Form Life. For the past 20 years, we've been helping women 40 plus burn body fat, increase energy, and balance hormones. That's what we do. If that's you, you've come to the right place because we can certainly help. So I'm going to dive in here and as efficient as possible with this show. All right. So why don't you let me know in the comments if you are doing strength training right now. So often I'll sit across from someone and they'll say, I need some help. And I'll say, okay, let's have a conversation, see where you're at, what's going on. And I'll say, do you exercise? And most of the time I hear no, or I hear, well, I walk 3 times a week. So I don't consider walking exercise. That's just my opinion. When I'm talking about exercise, I'm talking about resistance training, and I'll explain that in more detail here today. But exercise or walking is great for a number of different reasons. And it could include if you're, let's say, quite a bit older, if you're recovering from an injury, if you want to get fresh air, if you're walking your dog, like there's a lot of benefits to walking. And there's even more benefits to like seriously walking, not a stroll in the park. I feel like when most people say they walk, they are just cruising. It's not like an intentional trying to get your heart rate up walk. That's a beneficial walk, in my opinion. A walk like I went around the block for a walk to get some fresh air, or I went for like a nice 20-minute walk to get outside to get some sunshine. Like that's great. There's tons of health benefits, but if you're looking to burn body fat, that's not going to do it for you. And I just want to be 100% transparent because I hear it all the time. I hear women that will say, well, some of them come into our program and they're like, well, I didn't get my workout in, but I walked instead. And I'm like, okay. So at the end of the week, when you ask me why you don't see any results on the scale, I'm going to say, because you walked instead, just so you know. Okay, so low impact strength training and why it works. So this doesn't mean because it's low impact, it doesn't mean low results. I think sometimes people are like, if there's no pain, there's no gain. And I'm like, that was a saying 100 years ago. We can work out a little bit smarter and figure out a solution here for your problems or issues that you might be going through. So it's actually one of the smartest ways to train if your goal is for sustainable weight loss. If you want extreme weight loss quickly in a short amount of time, then go ahead and do the burpees and do your extreme diets and do cardio every single day for 2 hours and maybe maybe you'll see some short-term benefits. But that type of, it's just not sustainable to do that. Like you can do that for a short amount of time. And that's why people yo-yo so much. They jump into a program and it's so intense. There's no breaks. There's no rest periods. We actually train our clients, our MAP members for different seasons of your life. Like summer's coming up. Unfortunately, a lot of people are going to drop off and have barbecues, etc. I talk about it quite a bit, and I'll probably talk about it a bit more here, but that's a different season. So maybe you try to maintain during that season instead of not putting in so much effort and then full on self-sabotage or talking about how terrible of a person you are because you aren't able to put in the effort. And so I guess my point is that there's different levels of where you want to go, and you can actually, by offering a more sustainable workout program, like exercise program, you can see long-term results instead of always the short-term. Women always come to us and they say they struggle with sustainable results. And I say, well, then it's going to take work longer term. And some of them are like, okay, great. And then in 3 months, they're like, oh, I don't want to do this anymore. And I'm like, that's what I was talking about when you came to me about sustainability. And maybe some people don't want to hear, like, this is the raw truth. A lot of people don't want to hear it. They're just like, oh, just tell me I can lose weight in a short amount of time because I have a wedding coming up this summer. And I'm like, well, then you came to the wrong place because that's not what we do. So strength training actually helps build lean muscle. And the more lean muscle that you have, the more the stronger your metabolism is, the more your metabolism helps burn body fat. So it's a common misconception or a myth that, oh, I'm going to start lifting weights and I'm going to get big, bulky muscles. I don't hear that as much as I used to hear that. Like, we've been doing this for 20 years, probably at least 5, maybe 10 years ago. I heard that quite often. Like, oh, I don't know if I should start working out because I don't want to have man arms. And I'm like, it's pretty difficult. We don't hear that too much anymore. I think there's a shift in mindset. There seems to be more women that want to be strong and that want to look fit, and that looks different than it used to. And I think that's a good thing. It's definitely a good thing. So building strong, lean muscles should be a goal. And we're working through this with some of our ladies right now. Like, some of them are having, and I'll be, again, transparent, they're having a really hard time because we continue to train and we have to continue to work with them. And I think that's a big issue with ladies jumping off our program or any program at too short of a time, because there's another phase. Like, you have got to your weight loss phase. That's great. But that's only half the battle. The next battle is building muscle, changing your mindset, and understanding that the scale is not going to drop. And this is something we talk about often inside our group, is that you have to look at different avenues of weight loss if you want it sustainable, different avenues of success. Because if it's only weight loss, you're going to come to a time where that scale doesn't drop anymore, and then you're going to feel like a failure. So we are training our ladies that are in the maintenance phase in a different mindset of being stronger, looking at progress pictures, being leaner. It's a different mindset when you no longer are able to look at the scale and hoping that it goes down. And that's where your mindset needs to get. A lot of people will struggle to get there, to get to their goal weight. And there's nothing wrong with challenges. Like, I feel like so many times people think like, oh, I shouldn't have any challenges anymore. Or I tried this program one time and I should be good for the rest of my life. Like, we're going to have continual challenges. That's life. That's just how it goes. So I think if we accept that and embrace that there's going to be challenges, then we're going to be okay, because we can continue to work through them. If you're hoping for a one-time fix all program or path or journey, you're not going to find it. I can promise you that. Okay, let's jump into the next segment here. So when I'm talking about resistance training, I'm talking about particularly resistance training as your body as the machine. So often when someone comes into our program, they'll say, oh, do I have to go buy a bunch of weights? Do I have to get a gym membership? What do I need? And I said, you don't need anything. You need a space, and you need some time, commitment, and an open mind. That's what you need. So I would suggest anyone starting out, let me know in the comments if you guys are starting out with resistance training, or if you have been doing resistance training for a while. I would suggest that you start at home. There's just so many less variables. Like, what we try to do with our members when they come in is simplify their life. So we look at what are the things that are happening in their life that could need to be removed that could make things much easier. So often we have this chaotic life, and we don't know anything about time blocking. We don't have any way to schedule our life properly. So everything's always up in the air, and we're struggle to do anything consistently, really. So if you look at the things in your life that don't necessarily need to be there, or aren't serving your purpose, or aren't taking you into the direction you want to go, then those things can be removed. I'll tell you, one of our members, I sat down with them, and we have we have two apps. We have a fitness app and we have a community app. And they had like 57 apps on their phone, and they had a hard time finding the apps just to get to the app so they could do their program. And I said, okay, well, like there's too much chaos here. Like, what are we doing? Like, are you using half those? No. So I literally sat down with them and we deleted all the apps that they didn't use. And they had like 7 left on their phone. And I'm like, that's how you simplify your life. That's how you simplify your mind. Like, we have so many things going on. You've got like 25 windows open on your computer. Your car is a mess. It's got junk here. It's got food there. It's got drinks there. Like, I feel like how you do one thing is how you do anything. So if you want your life cleaned up, then clean everything up, from your office to your bedroom to your garage that you just store stuff in. Like, that's a little bit deeper training than I was planning on going to. We talk about more of that inside our MAT program. So when we're looking at resistance training, I'm talking about controlled movements. You could say slow controlled movements. It doesn't have to be slow, but it needs to be controlled. You'll see someone do I see often people do like push-ups, and their push-ups are done horribly. And I'm like, you would get so they'll be on their toes and hands, for example. And I'll say, you'll get way more out of that if you drop down to your knees. But they're like, oh, I don't want to look weak, or I don't want to do woman push-ups. And I'm like, well, what does that mean? Like, when we were doing high intensity, like training as professional athletes, we would always finish on our knees. So if you want to call that a girl push-up, like we would do as many max out. So you can do whatever it was, 25, 40, 50, 60 push-ups, right? In a row. And then you drop down to your knees, and it's called a burnout. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. It's just the mindset that we put on ourselves. So if you were to drop down to your knees and do a full range of motion, slow, controlled, you would get more out of that than 12 half push-ups with your head down and, like a core, your arms are moving like barely, but you're like, I got the 12 in. We'll do 5 on your full ones on your knee. You'll get much more out of it. So that's why I'm talking about when I say slow controlled movements with proper form, and then you slowly increase. So you build a solid foundation and then you build from there. We're just going over resistance training for sustainable fat loss. And I feel like it's quite a bit different than the norm. I still see women at the gym doing just isolation movements, which could be okay if they're just building muscle mass, but don't need to burn body fat. And then I also see like trying to PB or PR, like deadlifting, bench pressing as much as they can. And I just think like there's probably a time and place for that for specific goals. You could look at like if some women want to compete in like Hydrox, that's a different workout. CrossFit, that's a different workout. But the majority of women that come to us are looking to increase energy, burn body fat, and balance hormone. And the way you do that is through this resistance training I'm talking about. It's not the 2 hours of cardio or on the elliptical. There's this girl at the gym. I couldn't imagine she would ever be watching this. But she goes on the stepper. I have no idea what her goals are, but I kind of want to ask her. But she goes on the stepper every day for as long as I'm there. And I'm not there for an hour and a half. I go for 30 to 45 minutes, and she's there at 5 and I leave about 5:45 depending on the day, and she steps the whole time. And I want to ask her, I really want to know, like, why are you stepping for so, like, I want to know like what her goal is or what she's trying to do. Like, maybe it's to like hike a mountain or something. But I couldn't imagine. But here's the thing. No, like, she's fit. She looks good. I don't have any problem with what she's doing. It's just very curious to me. But what I used to see when I used to do personal training at the gym, I used to see women, they would go to the cardio machines. They would never go to the resistance training, and they'd be killing themselves on the red face, sweat. They'd just be killing themselves on the cardio machine. And like, I don't know what their nutrition looked like, but their body composition never changed. They could be going for 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, always doing the same thing, and nothing changed with them. And I just thought, well, like, what could they be thinking that you just keep doing the same thing with no result and thinking that same thing will eventually work? Like, I don't know, but at any rate, I'm hoping that this conversation will help you guys understand, like, there's a different way. I have people that still message me and they'll say, hey, I'm looking to work with you, but I have a personal trainer. And I'm like, well, how's that going? Are you seeing results? And they're like, no, that's why I'm reaching out to you. I said, well, are you ready to leave that personal trainer and try something different? And they're like, no, I don't really want to leave them. I've been with them for years. And I'm like, well, have you seen any results in years? And they're like, well, not really. And I'm like, what are you doing? What are you hoping for? I think some people like to like to feel like they're doing something. And that's not a slight. I just think that sometimes doing something, like feeling like you're doing something, but not actually accomplish anything, like it's busy, like busy work. Think about that. As entrepreneurs, there's a lot of coaches that will say, don't do busy work, actually do productive work. And if you want to progress in business, you have to do things that are actually productive. But unfortunately, the hard things are the ones that are productive. And we just keep doing busy work that, you have everyone has like a checklist of like a to-do list, but I don't think you should have a to-do list. You should have a priority list. So, or if you don't want to confuse things, take your to-do list and grab the most challenging ones and put them at the top and don't allow yourself to do anything else. So what happens is we do all the things that don't take much time. So I did this. So you got 7 things done, and because you can do them quickly, but that takes up all your bandwidth. It takes up all your mental clarity, mental decisions. You don't have any more time. So you've just done all the things that don't really matter. And the 1, 2, or 3 things that actually matter, you don't have time for anymore because you just spent your time doing all the other nonsense. Right? Katie says, way back in the day when I used the gym, I had been told I should do at least 20 to 30 minutes of cardio before resistance training. I hate cardio. Yeah, I wouldn't agree with that. Let's see. Okay. So let's carry on here. Let's cruise along. I think it's, so for us in particular, we don't do burpees, jumping, though in my opinion that stuff is harder on your joints, and that's not really what our demographic wants to do anyways. So you should probably at least try to enjoy some of your exercise. But again, I feel like some people feel like they have to do burpees, so they have to be killing themselves in the gym. I actually have people that come to me after they've gone to some of our workouts when I was doing fitness classes in person, or even some new members that come. We do everything online now, but they'd say, oh, that was easier than I thought. Like, it was challenging. It was a good workout, but it's much easier than I thought, because that mindset of like, some of you who was in did anyone do boot camps back in the day? Maybe they're still around, but there's not really I don't think there's boot camps. And there used to be like people yelling at you and like, get your workouts in or do your push-ups. And then I think that's what some people still expect, is like, I have to wreck my body to see any results while hanging my head over the garbage can after my workout. Like, that's old school. That's not how things work. And I want to talk about the hormone connection here right now. So this is the next segment. I'm going a little bit slower, but I'm enjoying my conversation this morning. Paul says, I'm back. We had an amazing trip. It looked like it. Well, welcome back. Welcome home. Angela says, yeah, burpees not my favorite. I couldn't imagine. Cheryl, did you say yep to boot camp? Okay, so there's a sweet spot of where you'll see results and where you're doing too much, where you won't see results. That is rare, but still, women come to me and they'll say, well, I'm doing 6 or 7 workouts a week. And I'm like, are you seeing any results? And they're like, no, not really. And I said, well, that's probably because you're doing too many workouts. And then they're like, no, I'm not working out hard enough. And I'm like, well, how much harder are you going to work out? So here's the problem, is that if you don't have a balance, so you should have in my opinion, a minimum of 3 days a week, and you should have a balance of full body workouts. Okay. What I see is too like overhaul on the same muscle groups, overhaul on cardio for sure, and too many days without rest periods. So, and this is different. Understand this is different for different phases. And then you can mix in cardio. You can mix in, I know like Cheryl's doing a little bit of boxing, for example. Like, it's really cool. A couple of our members are doing like some boxing in between, which is fine. And, but if you're doing something every day till max without proper rest periods, we also suggest a rest week. Okay. And that's a hard concept for a lot of people because they feel like they've quit or they've fallen off for a week, but it's different if it's planned. Okay. That's number one. Number two is we see with the overtraining, we see undernutrition. So lack of calories, lack of nutrients. So nutrient deprived. And that's important because if you are nutrient deprived and you have a lack of calories, your body's not able to doesn't have the fuel that it needs to build the muscle while you're working out. Okay. So all you're doing is burning muscle mass, which is a big problem, especially for women over 40.
One of the things I would like to ask of you guys is that some of you know that I don't run ads on the show and don't plan on in the immediate future. So the only ask I have for you is that you help us spread the word so we can help more women burn body fat, increase energy, and balance their hormones. And the only way that we can do that is if you can rate and review this podcast. So the single thing that I could have you do or could ask of you is to leave a review. It'll take 5 minutes or one swipe of the thumb. It would mean the absolute world to me. And more importantly, you could change the world for someone else. As many of you know, there's plenty of women that struggle in this age group for balancing hormones, increasing energy, and burning body fat. So if you could help spread the word, that would make a big difference in our life and probably someone else's as well.
And then lastly, we see lack of supplementation. So with overtraining, we see a lack of nutrients, a lack of supplementation, and then of course, a lack of results. It's pretty clear. It just doesn't work. So on top of that, your cortisol levels are through the roof. So cortisol is actually a good thing. Your metabolism is actually a good thing, although most people hate their metabolism. So your cortisol levels protect your body. So if your cortisol levels are too high, that's a high stressful state. So that is meant for you to be more alert and more aware. This is probably from back in the day when a saber-toothed tiger was chasing you in the jungle. So you're stressed out and you can run faster. Okay. That's me laughing at my own jokes. Okay. So, but if your cortisol levels are too high for too long, that starts to disrupt your hormones. And it also will cause adrenal fatigue, which is a big issue, and will cause long-term damage to your body as a whole being, but it'll disrupt your hormones on a regular basis. So it takes a lot of work to get all of that put back together, because some people have been stressed out for years. They've been in a stressful job, they've been in a stressful relationship, and they've been in a flight or fight state, and their adrenal fatigues their adrenal fatigues have, like, when you kind of walk around the corner and someone's like, ah! Like, that is usually a high stress person. They're always like waiting for something bad to happen. That is not a relaxed state of being, which I would suggest you all work towards. And there's different things you can do to make that happen. But so low impact strength training helps regulate stress. It also balances blood sugar, and then it supports your thyroid. And along with your adrenals, like I talked about. So instead of so many spikes or so many, let's say, think of a burpee or think of a sprint, which there's nothing wrong with. But think about everything spiking and then dropping. It's like your blood sugar levels when you're eating certain types of nutrients. You don't want your blood sugar levels spiking and dropping all the time. It's a bad sign. So the ideal training is if you're dealing with fatigue, body fat, sleep issues, mood swings. So this is what I'm talking about, depending on where you're at. So some people aren't exercising at all. That's number one. And then the other one is some people are exercising, like over exercising. And again, that's rare, but it happens like often enough that is worth talking about. So you guys, that's why I talk to our members, like when we're doing our training, and I'm helping you guys understand, like, it's important to take rest periods. It's important to making sure you're getting your supplements in. It's important to take your week off and like still do, we call it an active recovery week. Like, those are important to your overall program, to your stress levels, to balancing your hormones. Like, it's all connected. So it's all there for a reason. And I think I can look at the names in here. Some of you have seen incredible results, and that's how the program is built. Like, just do it. You're supposed to do it, and you're good to go. Okay, let me see if I can wrap this up in 5 minutes. So recovery, fuel, and supplementation. So your muscle is broken down through workouts, right? We have to build that back up, and this is partially what I was talking about with your so while you're resistance training, you're breaking down muscle so it can build back stronger. So we're putting stress on our muscles, stress on our joints, stress on our heart and lungs. This is a different kind of stress. This is good stress because we're preparing it to be stronger in the future. So think about a bicep curl, for example. You're doing bicep curl, right, reps, and then you give that bicep time to recover, and that's a certain amount of stress you put on that bicep. So hopefully you're getting enough protein, having a well-balanced diet, supplementing. Then that muscle will build back stronger. So the next time you work out, or the next time you put your body in that same amount of stress, let's say in this case it's just a bicep curl, your biceps are stronger and more resistant to that same exercise. So that's why it's important for you to understand we're breaking down muscle, but we're building it back stronger. So women over 40, more in particular, I'd like you to focus on being stronger, fitter, healthier, and leaner instead of just weight loss. So there's different types of protein when it comes to supplementation. Like, I'm not going to go over the different types of protein, like from steak, chicken, fish, etc. But there's also different types of supplementation. Like, you can look at, we have a really nice vanilla protein, 25 grams of protein, super clean ingredients. Collagen is another form of protein, great for your joints, skin elasticity, good for digestion, a number of benefits there. So you should have a balance of protein entering your body in different ways so that it can help. So let's say, like, if you look at magnesium, for example, magnesium helps in different ways. So you can use different forms of magnesium to help. It's the same thing with supplementation. Like, I like to look at a holistic approach in different forms. So I would like to look at a powdered form of supplement, a tab form, better than a capsule, but we still use capsules, a liquid form. So you have a variety of different ways that supplements are entering your body so they can be absorbed and utilized more efficiently to get more benefits. If you're just like, oh, I only take capsules. Well, capsules are a little bit, I would say that's probably at the lower end. They have to be broken down, often rehydrated. They take a while to hit the bloodstream. On top of that, they usually have chemicals, toxins, preservatives. So there's a lot to that, but definitely understanding that there's different types of protein that will build your muscle back up. And again, that's I'm not a huge like protein, like I see it everywhere. Like every fitness person is talking about protein. That's important more specifically to this demographic, this age group of women over 40, because you're losing muscle mass at such a high rate. And on top of that, if you're exercising and you're not getting enough protein, you're burning the muscle mass. You're not burning the body fat. That's why one of the reasons why we have our ladies eat first thing in the morning. So you're not burning your muscle mass. You have to burn your body fat by having fuel in your body, which is why I don't believe in working out fasted, which just means with nothing in your system. Okay, let me wrap things up here. I said I'd be done in 1 minute. I think that's it. If you the cleaner your nutrients are, a lot of people still think all supplements are created equally. It's not true. Like, the cleaner your supplements are, the more efficient they are, the more they absorb, the more your body can utilize them, and like utilize them as whether that's burning body fat, building muscle, etc. Those terrible like Popeyes, Supplement King, like those Costco, those places that sell everything under the sun, probably not your go-to when it comes to supplements. That's just my opinion. And that's not to say you can't find clean supplements at those places, but in most cases, it's just, here we have everything under the sun, grab the cheapest one you want, and you're off. And then you say it doesn't work. And then you think none of them work, and it's a vicious cycle. That's it. I have a couple more notes here, but I want to respect your time, and I'm going to jump off. Stay on track. If you take a break every weekend or every holiday or every Christmas, it's going to be very hard for you to see results at the end of the day. So stay on track, work hard, keep pushing forward, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Everyone.